This is The Beat with Radia B, a conversation about the Charleston County Sheriff's Office in our community. Welcome to The Beat, hosted by Radia B. Here at the Cannon Detention Center, we have a program department that provides programming for our residents. The programs include Elite Tech, Turn 90, our GED and Work Keys program, and we also have cognitive behavior therapy, and we also have a mental health support group. So residents have been participating in these programming opportunities for almost 2 years now. We are trying to build a program department to where the majority of our residents are able to participate in opportunities that ensure that they will not return to this facility or any facility and become productive members in our community. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to our programming participants, our residents. We have Mr. Freddie. Good afternoon, Mr. Freddie. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm doing good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you tell me, what does programming mean to you?
Programming means, to me, it means an opportunity to do a lot of things that the average person normally wouldn't have time to do when they're free in the streets because their mind focused on all the wrong things.
Okay. So when I gave you this little activity to do, who am I? One of the questions was, what would your warning label say? And your answer was, uncontrollably when pushed too far. Participating in programming, has that changed your mindset regarding that? Are you able to use what you've done in your little bit of time in being in program to change this answer to be different?
Yes, man. Being around some of the guys in program, like at first, we got to get to know each other, so we clashed a couple. But you got some of the older guys, they'll sit you down and be like, look, you wrong for this. You can't do this. You got to be more mindful of people when it comes to this. So it really helped me stop to think before I react to a lot of things now.
Great. And can you tell me what kind of classes are you in and which ones you like the most and which one has been challenging to you?
Right now we're taking probability and statistics, critical thinking, and we took technical literacy too. And I like the technical literacy the most, but the probability and statistics, that's what got me kind of messed up right now.
Why you say it like that?
It's hard.
It's challenging?
It's very challenging.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good thing to have something positive like that challenge you versus being in the street and something negative challenge you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It gives you an opportunity to do what?
It gives me the opportunity to learn and expand my thinking more, like learn things that I probably never thought was important. Now I'm seeing that I can take these things and apply it to day-to-day life, and it actually do mean something.
So how has it been in your communication on the outside world with your family and your friends? Has your attitude, has your determination changed differently when you're engaging with them on the phone?
Yeah, actually a couple of my family members and a couple of my friends and associates, they actually said that before they even knew I was in the program, they asked me like, what you got going on back there? Because you don't sound the same. I've been like, how you mean I don't sound the same? I'm like, you just talking different, you using different words, like you more open to thinking about things and everything. What they doing to you back there? I said, they ain't doing nothing to me back here. I just in this college course, they got a college course back here. So they been like, where all y'all learn back there? So I told them the classes we took, and they been like, man, I don't care what you do, just make sure you keep pursuing that, and then when you come home on the street, I want you to keep doing this too, because that's something that I can see you really making progress in life with.
How does that make you feel?
It made me feel proud. I really do it for my kids, and then for my kids to see me in school, and my son, he's 14, he told me he's proud of me, so that made me know that I'm influencing him to want to continue to further his education and take school more seriously.
All right. Thank you, Freddie.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Daviante. How are you doing today?
Good.
That's good. Tell me what programming means to you.
An environment where you can learn different things and new opportunities for you to learn more stuff that you haven't learned before.
Talk to me about the beginning. What happened? What made you say, I'm going to follow this lead. I'm going to follow positivity. What happened?
Because there was an opportunity that I never had before. A chance to accomplish something that I wanted to do in the future, like a goal I had to get bigger dreams.
So tell me, was it easy for you to just sign up, or you had to? What did you have to do within yourself?
I had to do a lot of things. I had to get my GED. I had to get my mind right. I had to get the negativity away, and have good people around so I could be on the right track.
Was it worth it?
Yes, it was.
So what are you most passionate about?
To show other people my age that it's more than just what you see now. You got bigger choices, you got more opportunities, there's more jobs open for you. There's a lot of things you can accomplish when you in something like a program. It's something you want to come to so you can have something to show for.
So before you entered programming, what would people say? What was people saying about you?
They just looked at me as a regular person, something like a nobody. Somebody's just like an invisible person.
And how did that make you feel?
Belittle.
What do people say about you now?
I'm intelligent, I'm smart, I have a mind of my own, and I'm better than most people, and I go further than what I thought I could.
All right. Thank you, Daviante.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Cleveland.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
What does programming mean to you?
I would say change and opportunity.
So has your mindset changed from when you started participating in programming to now?
Absolutely.
Tell me how.
At the beginning, I wasn't really focused on anything. I was just, I guess you can say I was just living life, I guess.
What does that mean, living life? Talk to us. Tell us what that means.
I was going day to day. I wasn't really thinking about my future, or, you know what I'm saying, because I was in the streets, so I wasn't really thinking about type of things I think about now.
Y'all are taking 3 courses this summer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What are they?
It's a critical thinking intelligence class, probability and statistics, and a first year seminar, IDS 109.
Which one did you like or relate to most?
I would say IDS 109.
Tell me why.
The assignments were really on like self-reflection. Really, like you would have to like answer questions on like questions about you, basically, and it gave me time to self-reflect and think about me. And
so all beforehand, you think you didn't have a chance to think about you or to reflect on yourself?
I was stuck in the moment. I didn't really think about nothing,
So access to these opportunities made you move out of being stuck in the moment.
Absolutely.
So what would you tell 15-year-old who's out running the streets about being stuck in the moment? What advice would you give him?
You got to think outside the box. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not normal to just be stuck in the moment,
So when you hear somebody talk about having a moment versus a movement, which one would you push towards?
I'm going with the movement.
And movement equals success?
Absolutely.
And what does that look like?
Progression to success, you know what I mean? It's not going to be easy, and it's going to take time, you know what I mean? But movement, you going somewhere, you know what I mean? So I know there's more room for more change, but I'm happy with myself right now. I was stuck on the streets, you know what I mean? Now I'm interested in cosmetology, specifically the barber industry, and I know I'm going to get there.
How does that make you feel?
Awesome, great. I actually had somebody tell me one day that they ain't never thought they would tell me it, but they proud of me. Like, it kind of hurt me, but you know what I mean? But at least now they can say they're proud of me, you know what I mean? So.
But that feels good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Cleveland.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, Isaac.
Good afternoon, Ms. Baxter.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
That's good. So tell me, what does purpose mean to you?
Purpose. To find something in you that you're willing to pursue to achieve success. Right.
So under the sheriff's initiatives regarding programming here at the detention center, how has that helped with your purpose?
Has helped me a lot. I've always wanted to go back and finish my education, but for one reason or another, I could never give myself the time to actually pursue it. Like I said on my GED graduation as well, coming here At first, I thought of it as being the worst thing that had ever happened to me. And now I see it as the best thing that had ever happened to me, right? Because these opportunities that are being presented for me here, getting my GED, enrolling into college, actually getting the career that I actually wanted to pursue, which is business administration and entrepreneurship, is something that I always wanted to get done, that I could never give myself the time to do it out there.
So what are you passionate about?
My passion is cooking. I've been a chef for the past 10 years, so I'm very passionate about cooking and spending time with the family.
So you're very passionate about cooking. Give me an entree that you could align yourself with and it could be similar to you participating in this programming experience here at the detention center. So like some people think of it as like it's like baking a cake. Like you got to have all the right ingredients, and once you finish baking that cake, it comes out to be the best thing ever. But if you leave out one ingredient, if you leave out not studying, then you have a nasty cake. So think of something like that.
Pulled pork, barbecue pulled pork. In order to have a good barbecue, it's a process, right? We start by marinating the meat a day or two before putting it in the smoker. After you put it in the smoker, it has to sit there for 24 hours sometimes, right? It can be even longer than that. Like right now, the program, we have to put in a lot of work or effort in there, or passion and time, invest our time in there to actually achieve good results.
Okay, that's awesome. Great analogy. So then, what would you say to the naysayers out there about your barbecue pork, about participating in program?
First, I'll tell them just take advantage of the opportunity. We've been blessed having you guys in here, presenting these opportunities, making them available for us. So I will tell them, to take advantage, to pursue and to get better in life. To go out there and become better parents, better brothers, better sons.
Because we have a lot of people in the community who think programming is a waste of taxpayers' money. For residents who are in jail or in other facilities such as jail, that they belong there, so they don't need any type of rehab or any type of continuum of care. What would you say to them?
To give us a chance to show them that by having the opportunities available to us, we can actually change and we can become better persons, change our mindset, change the way we think about going about things. Right.
Do you think time brings on change?
No.
Tell me why.
If we are just basically being put in a cage and just expecting that you're gonna change, basically the definition of insanity, right? Expecting different results but doing the same thing over and over and over. So they seen this process of incarcerating people, and they seen that it hasn't affect recidivism. They haven't affect any of us like actually changing. But for the data and the research that we have been doing lately, we see that people that are involved in cognitive behavior therapy or post-secondary educational programs, it shows that by giving us these opportunities, it helps us to reform us, to come out as better persons and not just being left alone here without any chances of changing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Isaac.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Baxter.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Good afternoon.
So how you feeling?
Blessed.
That's good. So you were on our first podcast when we did with residents before. Tell me how you feel from then to now.
I think in the first podcast, we were just settling in, and I was starting to see a change in myself. I was starting to believe in myself. We were starting to come together as a team, and things were starting to change. We were kind of realizing, oh, wow, this might be realistic. I might be able to get a degree, and start, thinking about the possibilities. You kind of got to earn your track record back with yourself, or earn the trust in yourself. So I think in the beginning, I was in that phases where I wanted to believe, but I just wasn't quite there. Now, as I press forward, I feel like when I apply myself and when I put my mind to something, I can achieve it. That kind of lets my mind go places into what's possible, you know?
So what does programming mean to you?
Programming means to me to be able to provide people with access to the opportunities and tools that they need to find their potential, to find what change means for them, to find what purpose means for them, and then give them the opportunities and to be able to apply it. So you give them the tools, you teach them the tools, and then you engage them in using the tools how they work for them, because not everything works for everybody. So you give them, the tools to be able to do that, and then, if you're lucky, you create a culture where you have the opportunity to be able to apply these tools and support change and motivate each other, and then possibly do something to be able to help some other people,
Okay. Tell me what you thought your warning label said when you arrived here that day. What would your son, I'm pretty sure at that time he was about 8, when he saw you, what would the warning label say?
He can let you down.
And what does that warning label say now?
Excessive optimism in a cynical world.
How does that feel?
Feels different. When you put on a new set of clothes that you've never really worn before, and or a new pair of shoes, and you've got to break them in and get used to them. It's kind of like that. It takes some getting used to. Given
the programs that you've been participating here at the detention center, you've made a statement. It's a process of an educational term that we were using that we didn't even know we were using. Can you explain it to me a little bit?
Sure. I believe what you're talking about is liberatory educational practices. All of us come from different cultures. We have different trauma, different experiences, different struggles. We were raised different ways with different values and different principles. But change is a common thing. So if you engage people to understand, okay, this is where my obstacles are, this is what my struggles are, and you engage them in the process of trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to be able to be successful? And then engage in that process is part of that process right there that liberates you. When you realize, okay, I do have power, I do have control. If I apply myself over here, I'm able to get an A in this class. If I apply myself over here, I can understand where this person's coming from. And in that process, you become empowered or liberated through learning how to learn. It's in that education process that you find your power, that you find your purpose, and that you empower your vision.
It sounds awesome. So have you totally found your purpose? Or is that still a work in progress?
No, that's definitely a work in progress. I was lost for a lot of years, or what I call lost. And the thing that's hard for me to grapple with is that I have 8 years where I looked my son in the eye and wanted to do the best that I possibly could for him, but I couldn't, right? I remember going through a chain of events and coming in and looking over his crib and tears running down my face. And, this is never going to happen again. This will never end. And if you put me on a lie detector test, I would have passed. There is no way with all my willpower summoned I was going to let him or let anything bad happen or not provide the best. And despite my best intentions, something was wrong. Something was wrong. I couldn't pull it off. And, I've realized now looking back, part of it is because I was buying into the narrative that other people were telling me. You're a felon. You're a screw up. I was empowering what people said, and I was buying into those labels and those things. And now, through my own process and through the programs that are offered here, I've found my purpose, my power, my peace. I'm comfortable in my own skin. So my purpose, really, what makes sense to me is to help others find their way. I feel confident that I can get out, and I don't know if I'm going to be the best father in the world, but I know I can look my son in the eye and know that I'm being honest with him and giving my best. I know that, and I know that if he needs something of me, I'm going to give it all to be able to achieve that. Today, I feel effective. That's the difference between life and death for me, and so my purpose is to help other people find that in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it won't take them 18 years and in a whole childhood of their children to be able to find it. Maybe I can help them find it quicker.
So those 18 years, those 9 years, all of that was worth you getting here.
Correct. It is. We were doing a question survey. We came in and it asked us some questions about my past. And at that point in time, I was still pretty sore and pretty resentful at myself over some choices that I had made, or the inability to do certain things, like be the father I wanted to be. I think one of the things that has changed is just what you said. Now I see my past as part of the journey that brought me here, and all the mistakes formed me into what I am. And it is through those mistakes that I can reach and understand people that have been through the same places and the same struggles and the same positions. And now I know it. I know what that darkness looks. I know what that feels like. I know where I was and what it took for me to get through, so I can go to where they're at and help them out possibly.
So basically you're saying you honor your past, you be present in being present now, and you navigate for the future.
That's perfectly said.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stephen.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Anthony.
Good afternoon, Miss Radia B.
How are you?
I'm alright.
What are you afraid of?
I guess not being a good father or parent to my kids. I'm afraid of that.
Does it keep you awake at night?
Sometimes in here. I can't be the best parent back here.
Has being involved in programming help you with your fear?
Yeah, because it gives me something to look at. I'm learning things that I could do when I get out of here. It helps me not to go back to anything that I used to do and my old way of thinking. I could use that to start something for them, so they could grow up and learn to do, something that I'm doing, or, just help them figure out what they want to do. This program helps me as a person, just expand my mind to bigger things, bigger and better things, that I want to do with myself.
So when somebody says the time is now, what does that mean for you? How does that look?
Time is now. Like on the street, I wasn't doing school or nothing like that. I was trying to get my GED or whatever, but, I kept giving excuses not to finish or nothing and coming here, opportunity presented itself, so I just took it to try to do something better. I just took advantage of it.
Would you consider the pause that you're in right now as bleak or a light of success?
Yeah, I could say that because, as far as my family-wise, my younger siblings, all three of them just graduated high school, and one of them in college. Just breaking the chain of not doing nothing, I guess, doing something with myself, even though I'm in a negative situation or whatever, but, making positive out of it. I got something that I could go home to. Even if I don't finish school here, I can go home and finish and stay on the right track, with the things that I have planned to do.
So if you could go in front of a group of legislators, a group of policymakers, a group of community members, and they ask you what would be necessary for change for residents, how would you speak to the programming that you received and getting them to buy into that?
A topic that we be talking about in class would be recidivism, and that has to do with getting out and coming back to jail. So I feel like with programming, not just what we have going on, just different stuff, when you put certain things in front of people that's useful, something like a trade or anything like that would help somebody stay up out of jail, stay up out the situation. I would ask somebody to, buy into it, because look at what's going on around in communities. The stuff that we're doing in this programming is stuff that people in communities would want to do, but don't have resources or whatever to do. Unfortunately, when they come to jail, but they have something positive to reflect on and to invest into, change somebody's mindset, if that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Anthony.
Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, Miss Radia.
How are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm great. What does investment mean?
Just putting in the time and work and the resources to get a desired outcome.
So if I was to put community stakeholders, family members, policymakers in this room, how would you sell programming for residents, including federal and state?
With the program that we're going through, what we're putting into it, actually believing in what we're doing, actually having the resources to get the outcome that we're looking for. Because for us, I think a lot of it has to do with change, and investing in the program is to get the desired change within ourselves that can lead to a lesser recidivism rate. I was just trying to get them to see what we see, to believe in us, to see that we're actually putting in the time, we're putting in the effort, we're taking this very seriously. And by just looking at our group from where we started from and some of the mindsets that we had in the beginning, you can see changes already taking place and just the conversations that we have amongst ourselves.
So what does collaboration mean?
Working together.
How has that been working?
Put it like this: we have deadlines that we have to meet. And sometimes the work getting to those deadlines or heading up to those deadlines isn't always ideal. But in the end, we always figure out a way to make it work. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say we get along 24/7 or everyone sees everything the same, because it's not. That's not always the case. But that's what makes us different. That's what makes this group unique. That's what makes this program unique. One of the biggest stepping stones that I had to take personally is being able to respect other people's point of view and vision, because certain things that weren't logical or what I didn't deem logical, that didn't apply to everybody else. So I just had to get on board with starting to, accept how this person's opinions or viewpoints are influenced. So collaboratively, we've made a lot of strides working together. Now things are a little bit more cohesive as we've started to recognize like what everyone brings to the table and what we can get out of each individual and their weaknesses and strengths, and just trying to use that to work together for the bigger outcome.
So have you noticed any changes in your housing unit?
There have been some changes. Like in the beginning, it was a little bit more, I don't want to say rambunctious, but it was now it's a little bit more orderly. You have guys that are asking about programming, asking what we're getting out of programming, asking how to be involved in programming and the steps they need to get that in place. The guys in our housing unit are wanting to invest in programming and invest in themselves.
Okay. If you could be an animal, what kind of animal would you be?
I'll probably be an eagle.
Why you say that?
Because I would like to soar above everything else. I would like to consider myself to be a high achiever, and I would just like to be able to see what's coming my way before it came my way, and I would just like to be able to look at everything from a higher point of view.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Eli.
Good afternoon, Miss B. How you doing?
I'm good. Good
Good to hear.
So what's your biggest regret?
Boy, I got a whole bunch of regrets, but my biggest regret probably would be missing so much time out of my kids' life.
So being on pause, how has that helped with your regret?
Well, it's giving me an opportunity to sit and try to figure out how to not keep doing the same thing. Like I done been in trouble over and over, so it being on pause this time and having an opportunity to look at stuff from a different angle has given me the chance to try to figure out how to not keep doing the same thing. Even though I've done it a lot, it's giving me a chance to try to focus on how to not keep doing it.
So you're talking about like being like on a mouse being on a wheel and just keep doing it over and over and over.
Yeah, that's funny
Okay.
because that's one of the jokes that me and the guy have. Is about being on a hamster wheel.
Right, hamster wheel, yeah. So what is programming to you?
Programming to me is providing people with all of the things necessary in order to change the path of their life. To me, programming is just something that's effective in bringing about change. And the reason why I think that the programming here is so effective is we have an opportunity to have access to so many different levels of things. I mean, one thing at a time is not really going to be effective. If you give somebody a GED, that's cool and it'll help. But if you give them that and they still go back to the same environment and they still have the same mindset, it's not going to change anything. But if you give a person a GED and then you transition from the GED into post-secondary education like college or whatever, then that builds a little bit. And if you build on the college by giving them the cognitive thinking and give them a way to change their mindset, then that builds on that also. You're able to work not just from the aspect of getting education in school, but you get an education on what causes you to behave in a way that would put you in jail.
So what would you say to administrators about what should be done with programming?
I would tell them that you've got to do everything. You could put one thing forward and that's good, but it's not really going to solve the problem, because the problem is bigger than just a lack of education. The problem is bigger than just not having one thing available. And in order to solve the problem, you have to reconnect with the community. You have to allow people who are in jail to believe that you want to help them and believe that they can help themselves. So if you don't do that, you just filling numbers. You're just checking off a box on the program department. You're not really doing anything.
So basically what you're saying is there's got to be some type of cognitive behavior therapy. There's got to be some kind of recognition of accountability, responsibility, knowing where you're at, being able to relate to your trauma, be able to move, not to, again, honor your past, be present now, and navigate for the future.
Yes, ma'am. In order for a person to truly change, you've got to take part in your own change. You've got to sit down with somebody. You've got to talk about what's wrong with you and what you can do to fix it. And you have to understand how you're going to get there. You have to understand that I'm going to do this because it's going to help me benefit in this way, and I have to do the second thing because it's going to lead to me benefiting in this way. And you have to be able to see results. You have to have small steps, almost like you don't even really realize the full journey. You have to be able to take small steps, and then you have to just start seeing stuff fall into place. And once you see something that works, you'll continue to do it because it works. Nobody's going to find something that works and then just stop doing it. Once you see something that works, you're going to keep doing it, because nobody wants jail. Nobody want this. I mean, all people, whether you get in trouble or not, want the same thing, basically. We want to be healthy. We want our kids to be healthy. We want our kids to be well educated, and we want our kids to have the best opportunities. We want all of that stuff. Everybody wants the same things, but it's just some of us don't know how to achieve them and know how to get there. I would tell administrator, what you got to lose? You're going to spend the money anyway. You got to spend money on something. Why not spend it on what works rather than just spending it?
Here in the Palmetto State, there's a drink called sweet tea, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody wants some sweet tea. What is the tea that you have gotten to make others want to participate in this programming initiative?
Okay, the tea. For me, everything that I say is based off of pretty much something that we've learned. So one of the things that we learned is you have to come up with a 2-minute pitch for anything that you're doing. No matter how big the project is, you have to be able to sum it up in 2 minutes, and it's called a bottom line up front, or a bluff. So the bottom line up front for that would have to be something like, in order for programming to work, what everybody wants is for people not to come back to jail, because the majority of people in jail have already been to jail or in prison or whatever. So in order to get to where people don't come back to jail, you have to solve the problem. The big issue is recidivism. You have to do something to solve recidivism. And studies have shown that every year 600,000 people get out of jail. And every year almost 400,000 of those people come back. The way to stop those people from coming back is to provide them with the means of doing something other than coming back. You could give me a degree in anything. You could teach me to be a doctor in here. When I get out, if I don't get a job as a doctor and I still live in the projects, I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody in the projects that's, you have to provide the community resources, you have to provide the job resources, and you have to provide at least the means to understand how to pursue those things. So you have to give a well-rounded program schedule in order to be effective. we've been going back and forth trying to figure out exactly what the right mix is, and if we don't got it, we got a pretty good idea of what it should consist of.
All right, and explain that a little bit more.
It's got to consist of education, at least basic education, and probably post-secondary education, which would be some college. It has to consist of some type of cognitive behavior thinking so that we'll be able to make better decisions and understand what goes into us making decisions, understanding that stuff don't just happen. We don't just get up one morning and go do something. There's a process that leads up to it. So if we understand the process and how to go through that, we'll understand how to make those decisions. And we have to reconnect with our communities. We live lifestyles that are almost acceptable within our communities. We do stuff that's wrong and our community accepts us. Nobody used to look at me funny where I came from. You know what I mean? I was a regular guy. But we have to get to a point where we don't accept criminality as a norm in our communities. And we ask our communities not to embrace us when we're doing the wrong stuff. And if we do that, we'll build an overall stronger community, because a lot of the stuff that is going on now, we can change. And we want to change it. We just don't know a better way to go. It would pretty much be one of those situations like, what do you have to lose? If you got 600,000 people getting out of jail every year and 400,000 of them going back, what you got to lose? You can't get too much worse than that.
Right.
You know what I mean? 2 out of 3 go back. You can't get much worse than that.
Right. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is chicken. Fried. With Lowry's. And that's my favorite food.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Eli.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Good afternoon, Mr. John. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Miss B?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of failing and being a statistic. That's what I'm afraid of.
Expound on it a little bit.
That applies to me and my child. But as a parent, though, your entire life, you said, I'm saying, you're looking at your child like, you know what, I'm going to do better for him. I'm going to make sure he does better. He gets the best he can. He go to schools he wants or whatever. And he's able to accomplish anything that he wants to. There's nothing holding him back. And that's just really my goal. Yes, ma'am.
What's your purpose?
My purpose is to get my life together, and I feel like this program right here is really like a big factor in that. I've been in here 2 years, and up until this program, I haven't had really thing offered to me that really helps me get my life together. I really haven't had an opportunity to get my head together, and on top of that, it's allowing me to further my education.
So you being a newbie to this group, how did they embrace you when you became a part of this elite tech program?
These guys opened me with welcoming arms. They're a great group of guys, and I really appreciate that, because at the end of the day, like when I first got in here, the schoolwork was kind of overwhelming because I wasn't like adjusted to the schedule. I'm just used to, you know what I mean, just doing whatever to pass time. But when I got this due, 3 classes, like it was just kind of like I had to really wrap my mind around it and get it together. But I appreciate these guys. They really helped me with that.
So being a part of programming, has it ignite your fire?
Oh, most definitely. I had an opportunity to go to college years before when I first got out of high school, but I didn't do the right thing with it. But this right here gave me a second opportunity, and I'm really taking it serious. I want to obtain my degree, and not only that, I want to use it to open businesses and one day hopefully obtain generational wealth.
So when you say generational wealth, what are you talking about?
Generational wealth, I'm going back to my son. I'm trying to set him up just so if I have a business and you know it's working well, it's doing a thing, that one day I could turn it over to him, and it just becomes a thing where, you know, he doesn't really have to worry about anything the rest of his life, and then he could turn over to his children and so on and so on.
So do you realize that also, though, the process that you're going about it is also generational wealth? That intellectual capital that you're providing with him, of being able to be collective with your colleagues, being able to communicate with them, being able to go to the next step or go through this process is also providing him framework of what he needs to do in his own way?
Yes, ma'am, in a certain way, and that's why I push so hard with the school thing. Yes, ma'am.
When somebody says timing is everything, what does that mean to you?
I feel like there's a place and a time for everything. Going back to my first opportunity with school, I just didn't take it serious. But there's a saying that, if it's nice, it'll come back twice. So I feel like this is my second opportunity, and I'm going to use my time wisely.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Joe.
Good afternoon, Ms. Roddy B.
How are you?
I'm doing great, doing wonderful.
You doing wonderful?
Yes.
All right, so what's your purpose?
My purpose is to rebuild, to refocus my life, recenter my life, and get my life in order. That's my biggest focus.
And what's the driver behind your purpose?
My children, they see me as this wonderful person, see me as this big-hearted guy that would do anything for them, that they don't see my wrongs.
What was your warning label before you got into programming? If I had to ask your children, what was your dad's warning label, what would they say?
Handle with care. Fragile.
Does that still remain the same?
Yes, it remains the same to a degree. I'm starting to be able to handle my feelings a lot better. I'm starting to be able to deal with life issues better. I'm starting to open up more and express how I feel instead of holding it within.
That's great. What has programming helped you while you were here? What has it done for you?
Well, this is my second time being incarcerated. I did a 13-year bid before, federal. I went through all type of programs. I made sure I strived to do the best I could do then, because I know when I got out that I want to have a better success rate. With doing so, the programs in the feds, they were there to help, but they really didn't help. They're more or less something just to kill time. I have learned more in the last year being in this program than I did the whole 13 years I was incarcerated.
Wow.
I thought when I came home that I was ready for the world. I was ready to do right, and I was ready to do everything that needed to be done. And believe me, nothing could tell me that I wasn't ready. I had guys approaching me left or right to go to the wrong side of the track, and I was denying them. I was running from them. I could see that coming. A situation took place where a storm came through and tore the roof off my house. And I was too heavy to get on the house to try to patch anything up. So my younger kids on top of the house trying to scrap the house down, trying to do certain things, and the rain falling in the house. And I came to a point to where I didn't have any money to fix it. I didn't have any money to do anything to make my family better at the time. And one of my friends reached out to me with some help. When he reached out to me, I thought it came from a place of love, because this is the first friend that came to me without saying, bro, I'm trying to take you back to the streets. I want to keep you out of the streets. I just want to help you get better. I know your heart. You're a good person. You'll do anything for anybody. So he came in, fixed my roof, bought me some used tires for my car so I get back and forth to work. And I told him, listen, I appreciate you. I say every month, I'm going to give you $150. And when income tax season come, I'm going to give you like $1,500 or $2,500 out of my income tax money. And he was like, cool. No worry, bro, you good. That continued by another 3 months or so. And right after that, he came up on me again and said, bro, I need your help. I said, bro, you know I'll do anything for you, man. I love you to death, man. You saved me, man. You saved me. And he asked me for something that I knew I should have said no to. But my heart was open. I felt like I owed him something. And I made a bad decision that day. I did all this thinking in the feds, and I could see things you could see come at you. You could kind of like bounce it off. You could shield it. You come at me with a knife, I can see you come. I got a way to think about seeing it. But things you don't see coming, it's hard to run from. It's hard to deflect it. That's what he did. He came from a different avenue where he actually tricked me. Since I've been in this program, I learned a better way of thinking. I learned to be more real and true to myself. And with all the group of guys that we have in here, we have a session where we sit down and we talk and we speak and we be honest. We ask each other, what we need to do better. What can we do to change? And we lay it out on the table. And with that being said, that's a big part of this program that we pushing to change. because we know what needs to be done from different aspects.
Oh, that's amazing. Great.
I'm sorry I
great
went
thought.
far on the storytelling, but
No, that's
just me.
That's very impactful. I mean, because that goes back to the question I was going to ask you. What would you tell people we're trying to get invested into this program, to people to believe in it, to want to give us more funding, more resources? What would you tell them? Like, hey.
I have never been in a situation in my life that I've seen people that are more passionate about what they're doing. The sheriff, Ms. Baxter, everyone here is pushing us to be our best. They believe in us. We just had a class of the day with a little toy book by a cat walking through the woods, and with this book, you know, the cat passed a bird, and the bird seen the cat different. The cat passed a dog, the dog seen the cat different. The cat passed all these different animals in the wood, and every animal it passed, the animal seen the cat different, and the cat seen them different. When the cat got to the end of the story, it looked in the water, it seen itself different. It's all depending who's looking at us. And we also the reason that we could change. We just need the help and the drive.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if you was an animal, what would you be?
I'd be an elephant.
Tell me why.
Because I'm big, and I don't mind being big, and I love eating high. I don't want to eat from the ground.
Oh, so how would you relate? How would you, in the community, what would you do as that big elephant? With all of the things that you've received, all of the resources you received, the cognitive behavior change, what would you do if we were to put you back in your community?
I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm reaching out to the community. This month here, I got a billboard put up for my daughter and grandchild that lost their lives to gun violence. I'm asking and seeking help from the police, which usually that's something that I wouldn't have done or we don't do. I already forgave the person or persons that caused my death of my children. I just want peace for me and my family. So, you know, just being that bridge to the community and being open and letting guys know, you know, there's other ways, there's other change, there's other things we could do. And just be reality, you know, a lot of us lost. A lot of us don't have that fundamental foundation from a youth. Like Mr. Eli said, we raise up in an environment where some things that we see as deviants, it's just deviants in our neighborhood, it's not bad. I used to be one of the biggest drug dealers around my area. And everybody around my area would say they love me. I go in the neighborhoods, pull out grills and feed 150 kids. I buy book bags. I've done everything I could do for my neighborhood to build them up, not realizing I'm also taking from my neighborhood. So you have a tendency to think that your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, but when your bad deeds cause your good deeds to be bad, you lost. We have to be honest with ourselves and be true to ourselves. And with this group that we do have in here, everyone's being true to themselves. Everyone is finding that it factor that caused them to do what they needed, caused them to do what they've done, and trying to find a way to change. And we helping each other together as a whole.
So you are a part of the change.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. We are a part of the change.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a good one.
Special thanks goes to our guests for participating in today's episode of The Beat. And The Beat goes on. This has been The Beat, a conversation about the Charleston County Sheriff's Office in our community. I am Radia B. Look for future episodes by following the Charleston County Sheriff's Office on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you go to get your podcasts.